Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel Pigskin Addicts, back again with another video. So, I'm sure most of y'all have heard by now, the Broncos hired Joe Lombardi, our old friend Joe Lombardi, as offensive coordinator. Now, I know what a lot of people are thinking. It's not going to be the same type of position that he had with the Chargers, right? He's not going to be calling plays. Sean Payton is and has always been the primary play caller when he's been the head coach of teams. So he won't have the same exact role, but he is in the same position, same offensive coordinator position. And I thought that this was something very, very newsworthy and worth making a video on. Now, again, I know he won't be calling plays. And, that's a lot of people's, initial reaction, when you say, hey, he's going to be the offensive coordinator. Oh, he won't be calling plays. But to have this guy around a struggling Russell Wilson is very, very puzzling to me. Joe Lombardi has regressed with two of the best arm talents that has ever, come into the NFL. Matt Stafford and Justin Herbert. Both of those guys regressed under Joe Lombardi's tutelage. So for him to be trusted again with another offensive coordinator position around a quarterback like Russell Wilson, the guy who has shown to struggle, right? He struggled in his first year in Denver. Things are going to be very, very, very unsure going forward with this hire. Now, the hire itself is very puzzling to me. I personally feel like the Chargers, they dodged the Sean Payton bullet. There was a lot of hype about him. A lot of fans were calling for Sean Payton to be the next coach of the Chargers, and I was okay with it. I wasn't against it. But, his hires, his assistant coaching hires, they have not been good. And, if you look across the board, pretty much his whole entire time in New Orleans, most of his assistant coach hires, right, offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, they haven't been great hires. They haven't been home run hires. He doesn't really have a coaching tree, right? There's not a lot of guys who have gotten head coaching positions after Sean Payton, right? After working with Sean Payton. A lot of the guys that were under him, they're either still in New Orleans, or they've kind of bounced around the league, right? None of those guys have really been thought of as, premier offensive or defensive minds in the league. So to me, his coaching hires are very, very questionable, and he's continued it, right? Obviously, Joe Lombardi, offensive coordinator, but he brought back Vance Joseph. Vance Joseph was the Broncos head coach at one point, brought him back as the defensive coordinator, decided to move on from Ejiro Evero, who did a fantastic job last year, decided to move on and bring Vance Joseph back. That's a questionable hire to me as well, too. So I personally think the Chargers dodged the Sean Payton bullet because these are not great hires. These are not great hires at all. And for him to be in Denver, with that mess that they have, the salary cap mess that they have, the lack of draft picks, Russell Wilson struggling, you have to get your coaching hires right. And if you don't get them right, you're still going to struggle, right? It doesn't matter how good of a head coach he is. Your hires are what makes you as a coach. And if you can't get that right, you're still going to continue to struggle. Now, I think the one thing that has been overplayed a little bit for me is Sean Payton working with Russell Wilson, right? Because they talk about what he was able to do with Drew Brees, both of those guys being around the same height, same weight type of thing, right? But when you look at it and when you actually do a deep dive, you really don't even have to do a deep dive. Just look at their careers. Drew Brees, Russell Wilson, two totally different quarterbacks. That Sean Payton offense worked like magic, right, with Drew Brees because it's based on timing, based on accuracy, right, based on anticipation, all of those things, and based off of a quarterback who has complete control of the pocket. That is not who Russell Wilson is. He tried to do it last year, and he failed at it miserably. So this Sean Payton offense, the timing, all of that stuff, it is going to be a work in progress trying to work with Russell Wilson because the one thing Russell Wilson is, he is a second reaction player. He's not that great on first reaction plays, right? He's just not that great. He doesn't do anything outstanding when it comes to that, right? He doesn't have the pocket manipulation like a Drew Brees has or even a Justin Herbert, right? He doesn't have that. He doesn't have the timing down. All of Russell Wilson's, extraordinary plays have come off of second reaction stuff. Second reaction stuff when plays break down, all that type of stuff. He's good at it. He's not as good as he used to be, but he's still pretty good at it. He can still make plays. He's still mobile, all that stuff, right? But this offense that Sean Payton is going to bring in is going to challenge Russell Wilson. It's going to challenge him. Timing. That's something that Russell Wilson has struggled with his entire career, is the timing. So it's going to be interesting to see how this thing plays out. I want to see how this offense looks. And again, with Joe Lombardi there, right? Again, he's not going to be calling plays, but he's already shown himself to not be a football savant, right? If you have two of the best arm talents in the league and both those guys are worse under you, you are not a football savant, right? I don't care how much respect you have. I don't care how many people like you. You're not a football savant. What Russell Wilson needs is somebody who can correct everything wrong that he does within the pocket, right? He can still do his second reaction stuff, but he needs somebody to come in and to pretty much almost teach him how to play quarterback at an NFL level from the pocket. That's something that he has not been able to do his entire career. And to me, I think he's going to struggle with it again. He's going to continue to struggle. He has to be able to sit in the pocket and make these throws. And having a guy like Joe Lombardi there, he's not going to get better. He's not going to get better doing any of that. So, again, that was a very, very, very puzzling hire for me. Now, my ultimate takeaway from this is that this has the potential to be a disaster. This has disaster written all over it with this coaching staff. This coaching staff is below par in my view. This is a below average coaching staff around Sean Payton. With the mess that they have in Denver, the salary cap issues that they have, the issues that they have as far as Russell Wilson, right, against the organization, kind of, right. It was reported just the other day that he has his own office in the building. He had his own office on the second floor where some of the coaches and some of the executives had their offices. The quarterback, your starting quarterback, had his own office there. I've never heard of that before. I've never even heard of Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes. These guys who are considered some of the best ever, right? They don't have their own offices. They're players. Why would you have an office if you're a player? So that is going to be a very interesting thing as well, too, the dynamic between Sean Payton and Russell Wilson. That's going to be something, again, and I've alluded to this in videos previously. Is it going to be a power struggle? Possibly. It possibly can be a power struggle. This is going to be a very, very interesting story all season long. What do the Broncos look like? How do they improve? Does Sean Payton improve them to a playoff level? I don't know. Like there's going to be a lot that goes into this, but this is going to be a very interesting story as the season progresses. Now, ultimately, again, I will say it again. I think the Chargers dodged a Sean Payton bullet. If the Chargers were going to fire Brandon Staley to give up draft compensation for Sean Payton, to have him have Joe Lombardi as your offensive coordinator, Vance Joseph as your defensive coordinator, that's not great. It's just not great. It's not great at all. It's not great to have that in the AFC West with the Patrick Mahomes, right? That's the gold standard. The Chiefs are the gold standard in the AFC West, and those are the guys you're going to have to beat if you want to have any type of success and you think you're going to have any type of long playoff run. Those are the guys you have to beat. Vance Joseph and Joe Lombardi are not the assistant coaches to have if you want to beat Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid in the playoffs, right? And potentially get to a Super Bowl, potentially have that type of success. Those are not the guys to do it. They are not. Both of those guys have been in the league, right? They're respected. They are okay at what they do, but are they able to get players? Are they able to get their units to another level to beat that team there? I don't see it. I just do not see it. So that makes these hirings very puzzling. And to me, very, very underwhelming. So I'm surprised. I'm surprised that Sean Payton has went to Denver and brought his underwhelming coaching staff with him. But, again, right, this is all talk. This is all on paper now. We'll see how they do during the season. But this is not a move that really inspires a lot of excitement as far as the Broncos fan base goes. To me, just you cannot be excited about a Joe Lombardi coached offense. There's just no way. Especially if you're a Bronco fan and you have been online and you have seen how Charger fans have reacted to Joe Lombardi, how, the national media has reacted to Joe Lombardi, his offensive play calling, right? His development or lack thereof of quarterbacks and offensive players. There's no way that you can be excited about this. But that's all I got for this video, guys. I thought that this was a interesting story coming out. Our old friend Joe Lombardi back at it, right? Not out of work for very long, right? Going up to Denver, going to go work with Russell Wilson and that terrible offense that the Denver Broncos put out on the field last year. It's going to be interesting to see how they try to improve it with their salary cap pretty much being spoken for, not having first round draft compensation. It's going to be an interesting story to see. And, we know that we'll be seeing some stick routes from the Broncos here pretty soon. So that's going to be funny. And, it's going to be a story that's going to have some legs as the season goes on. So I'm interested to see what happens. But that is all I got for this one, guys. Thank you guys so much for all the support. I really appreciate it. Shout out to all of my new subscribers. I appreciate you guys. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing down below. And don't forget to smash that like button on your way out as well, too. I'll be back again tomorrow with more content. And until next time.